This trade could change the Raiders' destiny forever. The franchise has decided to take a big gamble and is trading a big name, one that's making waves throughout the NFL. I have exclusive information on who's leaving, who might arrive, and why this deal took everyone by surprise. But before we dive into this puzzle, let's click like and subscribe to the channel, because today, my friend, is decision day, and it's being made behind the scenes right now. Tuesday started like any other in Las Vegas, until a bombshell dropped at the Silver and Black's training camp. In an unexpected move surrounded by behind-the-scenes signals, the Raiders made official a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles that could change the team's defensive line rumor mill. According to ESPN insider Ryan McFadden, cornerback Jakoran Bennett is packing his bags for Philadelphia, while defensive tackle Thomas Booker IV is heading to the desert to bolster the heart of Pete Carroll's defense. This is the kind of trade that reveals much more than it seems at first glance. It's not just two young athletes swapping uniforms, but rather strategic decisions, controversial cuts, and most importantly, the silent and meticulous crew of a new defensive system in Las Vegas. And all of this comes after a controversial decision by the Raiders, releasing star Christian Wilkins less than a year after competing for him for $110 million. The justification? Rehabilitation issues and an unusual incident behind the scenes involving an out-of-context kiss. The result? Wilkins out, a gaping hole in the defensive line, and the urgency for immediate solutions. It is in this scenario that Booker IV emerges as a valuable asset. A fifth-round pick by the Texans in 2022, the player has accumulated significant experience with the Eagles, playing in all 17 games last season, making 1 start, 18 tackles, and 1 sack. Although he wasn't a star in Philadelphia, Booker was part of the squad that reached the Super Bowl, playing key snaps and demonstrating consistency whenever called upon. He's the kind of athlete Pete Carroll loves: discreet, physical, disciplined, and hungry to grow. On the other side of the breakthrough, Jakoran Bennett ends a journey of ups and downs in Vegas. Drafted in the 4th round in 2023, the former Maryland cornerback started well, but had his season cut short by shoulder surgery. Even though he fully recovered for this year's training camp, Bennett hasn't been able to regain his place. Since OTAs, the team has been receiving snaps only with the reserves, while names like Eric Stokes, rookie Darian Porter, and even Jakoran Richardson have gained the trust of the new coaching staff. But it wasn't all about performance. Sources indicate that Carroll's coaching staff was dissatisfied with how Bennett was reacting to a new defensive philosophy. And despite his recent statements to ESPN, "I've always been the underdog. I don't shy away from that. I like to persevere." The internal feeling was that his time with the Raiders was over. Now, he'll get another chance on an Eagles defense also undergoing changes. Without Darius Slay, Philadelphia is looking for rejuvenation and depth in the secondary, and Bennett may find exactly what he needs to restart. With talent, desire, and a new structure around him, the former Raider can reinvent himself, something that coach Nick Sirianni clearly believes is possible. Meanwhile, Booker arrives to immediately compete for a spot in the defensive rotation, and this trade, symbolic as it may seem, reveals that Pete Carroll isn't just confused about the pieces, he's redesigning the board, and the next move could be even more decisive for the future of the Silver and Black defense. For many Raiders fans, Jakoran Bennett's departure may have seemed premature. After all, we're talking about a young, athletic cornerback with a 4th-round pedigree and flashes of promise before the shoulder injury that ended his rookie season. But when we look behind the scenes, the trade to the Eagles makes much more sense and reveals an uncomfortable reality. Bennett lost his place, lost his confidence, and, most of all, lost his momentum. According to inside sources and reports from ESPN's Ryan McFadden, Bennett has been on a downward trajectory since the first voluntary workouts of the year. During OTAs and minicamps, he was no longer part of the core group. Newcomer veteran Eric Stokes quickly assumed a leadership role within the group. Rookie Darian Porter also impressed, displaying physicality, instincts, and specific skills that immediately caught the attention of the coaching staff. Meanwhile, Bennett, even fully recovered from shoulder surgery, accumulated snaps as the 2nd and 3rd starters, a move that continued throughout the start of training camp. Other players like Jakoran Richardson and JT Woods also gained more visibility, filling spaces previously occupied by Bennett. The internal message was clear: he was falling behind. For Pete Carroll, this is unacceptable. The Raiders' new coach, known for building dominant defenses and for building mental and physical consistency in his players, does not tolerate stagnation. And while Bennett wasn't a disaster on the field, his performance was simply mediocre. And for Carroll, mediocre doesn't cut it. From the front office's perspective, a trade was strategic. I sent a player who lost his spot for a young and available defensive tackle, precisely at the position left depleted by Christian Wilkins' departure. Thomas Booker IV may not be an immediate impact player, but he brings energy, youth, and depth to a rotation that urgently needs internal reinforcement. And for a defense still developing, he could be the kind of player who thrives within the new system. For the Eagles, the deal is a clear transformational move. The departure of Pro Bowler Darius Slay left a hole in the secondary, and while Quinion Mitchell seemed destined for a starting role, the rotation still lacks reliable pieces. Bennett, with his physical style and history of resilience, could fit well into this reshaping group. In Philadelphia, he'll have less pressure and more room to develop, but perhaps the most telling point of this trade is the pattern it confirms. The Raiders are purging every inch of their defense. Players who didn't fit in, didn't develop, or didn't align with Pete Carroll's mentality are being replaced without hesitation. Whether they're recent picks like Bennett or established veterans like Wilkins. Those who don't deliver, go. Those who are hungry, come in. And now that the puzzle is being reassembled, a glaring hole emerges in the cornerback group. With Bennett's departure, the Raiders no longer have a 2023 title in their secondary. Promising youngsters are emerging, it's true, but they lack a leader. They lack experience. They lack a name that brings security, consistency, and above all, presence. That's where a longtime Raider Nation acquaintance is starting to be speculated as the next target. And this time, the return could be different. Because if continuity is a veteran in progress, a reinforcement could be just what's needed to combine talent and leadership, and he's already available on the market. If you've been following the Raiders' trajectory closely, you'll know that Coach Pete Carroll isn't afraid of drastic changes, and after releasing veterans like Nate Hobbs, Trayvon Merrick, Marcus Epps, and even Jack Jones, the field was wide open for a new secondary structure. The only surviving starter from last season, Jakoran Bennett, but now he's gone too. With that, the veteran cornerback shortage has become a cry for help at Allegiant Stadium, and all the corners bear one name, Rasul Douglas. Douglas, formerly of the Eagles, Packers, and Bills, is on the free agency market and has exactly the profile Pete Carroll is looking for. Experienced, physical, with a track record of leadership and high-level performance. He's almost 30 years old, 6'2" and 204 pounds, with long arms and proven production. In 2021 alone, he had 5 interceptions, 2 defensive touchdowns, 13 passes defended, 1 induced fumble, and 57 tackles in just 12 games. Furthermore, there's a detail that connects Douglas to the Raiders. Anthony Patch, a new member of the board at the time, was the Eagles' director of college scouting when Douglas was selected in the 2017 draft. This connection could speed up a deal. Douglas already had a brief stint in Las Vegas in 2021, but was released before the season. At the time, she lost out to players who aren't even on the roster today, a decision that seems absurd in retrospect. The chance to return, now under new management, seems like the closing of an unfinished cycle. More than just a technical addition, Douglas could be the pillar of experience that promising young players like Darian Porter and Decamarion Richardson need by their side. He can teach, lead, and still produce at a high level. A true win-win for everyone. With Jakoran Bennett's departure, Thomas Booker's quiet arrival, and the real possibility of the Raiders signing Rasul Douglas, do you think the silver and black defense is finally on the right track under Pete Carroll? Or is this unit still missing a key piece to regain its dominance in the NFL? Leave your opinion here. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, but I'll be back later to update you with the latest Raiders news.